Again. Hi, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. I had a request from Ken, a subscriber who spent some time in the military, and he was interested in something that he'd seen about in my bio about how I was in a Scottish regiment. What happened for me was that I was about to go into a job in the coal mines. I did my training at 15 years old in Manchester, just outside Manchester in what was then known as the Robin Hood Pit. And I did my training to be able to be a coal miner. You had extensive training because it was, no question about it, it was a job that you could lose your life in. Okay, so at 15, it couldn't happen now, I don't think. But I went down the coal mines in, I think it was Worsley. It's a long time ago, okay? And I did my basic training as a coal miner. I'd actually applied for a job at the Bradford Pit, which is probably closed by now, and I was accepted to be a haulage worker. And a haulage worker in those days would be the little tubs that come up containing coal from the coal face would come up on a running cable that was about so thick, and they had a special clamp that attached the tubs of coal onto the moving cable, and they had to be unattached and then put into the cage which would take the coal up to the surface, and that would have been my job at 15. Well, I think that my father must have taken pity on me arriving home covered in coal dust, because trainees, which is what I was right then, didn't have any showering facilities. So I would go down the mines, do my training down there, learn how to unhook and hook up these tubs of coal. We'd push them around, we'd play in the dirt. 15-year-olds, what else would they do? But we'd learn how to do everything and how to stay alive. So I actually was supposed to go into a job on a Monday morning, and I was supposed to start work. My father had applied to the band of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, and they were looking for boy soldiers, and they would give training. Well, my father knew that I loved music, even though he couldn't understand it, because he was a working man, the lowest kind of working man. He had no skills at all, and very poor education. So he wasn't able to guide me in any professional way at all. But he applied to the band of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, and they accepted me, because I went along and did the test, the normal tests, but they didn't turn down a boy of 15 who was going to go in and be taught how to be a musician. All you had to do was have the IQ of a dining room chair, which fortunately I just squeaked in on that, and I was accepted. So my parents put me on a train, a steam train in those days, okay, with all the speculation on my age. It was a steam train going up to Stirling in Scotland, and I got on that train clutching 6 fiction books. For some reason my father had given me a stack of books, so I had a toothbrush and a razor, which I had no need of, a towel and a piece of soap, and toothbrush and toothpaste, and that was my bag, a change of clothing, a change of underwear. And they put me on the train, and up I went to Scotland. And then from getting off the train in Stirling, I went up to Stirling Castle, which was, for a kid was quite an exciting thing. I remember being put with one other boy who was a piper, very talented piper, who was going to go into the pipe band. I was going into the military band, and put us in together. We got on like a house on fire, nearly burning ourselves to death, I think. That didn't go very well. And eventually, because I was so young, I didn't do any basic training. Ken, sorry, I can't tell you about basic training because I didn't do anything. In fact, in my 8.5 years service in the army, I never fired a gun. All I ever fired was a trombone, which for some people and their hearing, probably they'd have preferred a bullet. But I stayed in Stirling Castle for a while, waiting for a unit to finish, a platoon that was in training. They would train them by a limited number of young people, and they'd go out to the regiment. And to cut a long story short, I waited and waited, and then finally I was sent out to Berlin in Germany. And on my 16th birthday, I was in Berlin, and there were a couple of other boys, but in fact I was the youngest. And eventually I had some great times, and I had some great tuition. I was taught trombone by the principal trombone of the Berliner Philharmonic, so pretty awesome training, plus some talented people in the band that I was in. But eventually they packed me off to Aberdeen, and I went to a boys' school in Aberdeen, and that was where I think I was there for maybe a year or so, and that was no great joy. I spent some time in Edinburgh as well, but not terribly exciting stuff. It's not like I was at war or a boy soldier killing people. I wasn't. I was killing them softly with my music. Believe me, that's how it was back then. But anyway, that's pretty well up to my 18th birthday story about being in the army. And finally, I eventually returned to my unit, which was by then in Brentwood in Essex, and that's where I was stationed for a while. That's about it from me on that, if anyone was interested. Thanks for looking in. This is a foreigner in the Philippines, and
please like, please like. You're funny.
Beth doesn't know when I finish a sentence when I haven't. I'll speak louder. Your turn.
Please like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Have a good day. God bless. Bye-bye.